Hello everyone. We have a writer and English language teacher with us today, with a vast experience as an academician and also as a writer. She has developed innumerable content for various genres for Indian and international clients. Let us talk to her and understand her work. Welcome to the show, Mamoni.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. You're from Mumbai, right? I forgot to mention there that you're from Mumbai.
Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
resident of Mumbai now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, but basically from?
I am basically my origin is from Assam.
Okay.
And then I had lived for around 19 years in Delhi and Gurgaon. And it's
Okay.
just during the pandemic that I've shifted to Mumbai because of my husband's work.
Okay, sure. So I would like to start by asking you about your book that has been published recently. So can you tell us about it?
Yeah, actually, this book, Blooming with English, is from by Amanta Publications. It is for the CBSE and state boards to be used as an English textbook. I have written the literature part for grade 5, 6, 7, and 8. And it had been a great experience because all throughout almost for 2 decades I have worked with companies, innumerable publishers, media houses, and my last job, full-time job, was with NIIT in the school learning group as the content lead of English. So it had always been my work. Though I was applauded, it was always the company's name or the client's name for which or for whom I had worked. But this time it was different. I took up this work during the pandemic. And then, yeah, in a span of almost a year or so, I have completed the 4 books. It was a great experience. One thing I liked about this book was, I'm talking about the literature part. Grammar part is, as per the syllabus, more or less same with every textbook that is used in schools. It is that, you have acknowledged writers like Charles Dickens, where nowadays it's very rare that you find somebody reading Dickens, or if you say Shakespeare, especially for a student. And then, there were some Indian writers whom in fact, I have also met for the first time, of course, virtually, while because I had to read them before writing. A few of them were adaptations. So one such writer was Manoj Das, whose books I have never read before till I have written this book. So I had to read it because I had to. There were adaptations of his works, a couple of them. So I need to read about him. I needed to read through his stories to understand the kind of work he does, his style of writing, so that, creating origin. I feel that, creating original work for me is easier than, with 100% plagiarism free original work when it has to be somebody's adaptation. It's a challenge because you need to stay within a frame, and then yet you have to be original. So yeah, I really enjoyed doing this 4 books because one, it was pandemic time, you know how it was. So
Yes.
it has really kept me going, truly speaking.
That is wonderful. So, you explained us nicely about the process. You have also written books for various genres. So, please tell us about that.
Yeah, I have started my writing career with professionally full time with cyber media way back in 2016, 2006.
Okay.
So yeah, I started young, and when I initially joined, I was a creative. I was into the copy editing team. So and then we had we need to edit books. We had international clients. Then we have a unit as publication services, which was based out of US. We had a tie-up with them, so their fiction, non-fictions. And then, I was moved to the creative writing team, and that's when I realized, that yes, I have a lot of potential as a writer. So I started writing coffee table books. Then I wrote for Encyclopedia Britannica, who was their client. Then I wrote books for Marshall Cavendish. Then I wrote for, especially what I enjoyed was, writing. I wrote a series of Shakespeare's plays adaptation for the age group of 12 to 16 for
Oh,
a client called Wonderland Books of Canada. So all Shakespeare's plays were in a form of comic.
okay.
So it
Okay.
was end to end. You write the dialogues, you write the narratives, then you write about the kind of illustrations you want there. And then when it comes, you have to check. So it was really a very good experience. And being a literature lover, I really enjoyed writing those. And so, yeah, my experience that way was not only limited to English, but all sorts of books, uh, which had come into, and there were challenges also, because at times you have to be creative with the kind of demand that the client wanted. So yeah, and in fact, I have also written though it was halfway, because I went back to full-time work for a client whom I have got through the platform called Upwork, where you get projects online. So he was an ex-Indian army who had fought World War II, and he wanted his biography to be written. And he was an expat. He was based He was an NRI. So I started writing for him, and it was really, enjoyable. Even I was enjoying reading through what he was sending. He used to send me his experience in crude English, and then, I used to rewrite it with flowery language and whatever was needed to present. But when I just put finished a little bit, because then I went back to full-time job with NIIT. So yeah, I still regret not being able to help him through till the end, because his life was, as a soldier, his life was really, really interesting. So yeah, so I got exposed by, but what I enjoy most is writing children books. That in fact is my forte, because in children's books you get to relive your childhood. And I you can be as creative as possible. And I have written a lot of children books, starting from bedtime stories, fairy tales, Aesop's fables, even great Indian mythological stories, Jataka tales. This was during my tenure with Cyber Media, because Om Books, which is a very known publishing house in India, is their client. And I did a lot of series for them uh, when I was in cyber media. So that's it. So in fact, I do academic books as well, so as you have seen, school books. So
Yes.
whatever comes to my platter, I really enjoy doing.
I would like to know why and how did you choose English back then?
That's quite interesting. Actually, though I loved literature and I'm an avid reader, but I was more inclined towards science. I wanted to be a doctor, in fact, and I had my advanced mathematics, I had science, passed out with flying colors during in my board exams. And I took up science in my 11th and 12th. In fact, I did first year of BSc with chemistry honors. But unfortunately or fortunately, I did not get through the medical college in my city. So then, I continued studying with chemistry honors, and I did not want to go to a dental college. Perhaps I could have got through that. But and then, one day it so happened that, I was just in the chemistry lab, and I was doing titration. So I happened to crack 2 or 3 pipettes, and my professor was like, "What happened? Why are you not concentrating? Are you not in love with the subject?" His words really struck me, and then I thought that, am I actually enjoying what I'm doing? So she's one of my best friends. We are childhood friends. She was doing English honors. So she said, why don't you go and give, now the admissions are over, but you can, I think, since your marks are good, you can give an entrance. You can request the HOD for it. So I went, requested. He let me sit for aptitude and entrance exam kind of a thing to take English honors. And I cleared through it, and that's how I got through in my second year of BSc into English honors. And the journey continued. I really enjoyed, and I did my masters.
So when you design curriculum or write books for certain grades, so what is the process? I mean, how do you go about selecting the vocabulary or the, words? Can you tell us about it a little?
See, if it is designing a curriculum and writing a book, it actually basically are two different aspects, because
Okay.
what happens
Mhm.
is when you write a book, you usually have curriculum in my mind. Like when I wrote for my clients, I had the CBSE curriculum in mind, the NCERT curriculum in mind. So I knew this is how it has to be. And then, of course, how you present it is your creativity, but you have a certain uh, framework within which you need to be there. You need to limit it. It's not creative writing. So, but when it comes to designing a curriculum, we do keep in mind the boards and the syllabuses and what skills they want in the book, especially in the English books that I design or the English curriculum that I design. Uh, because you have to have the LSRW skills like listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Then you need to have the 21st century skills, which is a mandate nowadays. Then
Mhm.
in English, the four C's are very important. That is communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. So I
Okay.
try to incorporate all this, but this I think more or less everybody takes care of. But from my personal experience, when I was working as a consultant, when I had taken a sabbatical from full-time work post my delivery, so what I did was when I visited schools, especially there are a couple of rural schools in the outskirts of Gurgaon, where I had realized that just making a curriculum as per the syllabus or as per CBSE framework or NCERT framework doesn't actually help anybody. I happened to, because I was a teacher trainer there as well, so I needed to observe the teachers' classes. So one day I happened to walk into a grade 12 classroom. English was being English class was going on. So what I had noticed and found it a little strange at first, that the teacher was writing on the board, and he was interacting with the students mostly in Hindi. So for me, who had been a teacher in an English medium schools, have been educated in a convent background, so it was a little strange. So after the class, I asked the teacher, and incidentally, the results of that board results of that school is good, the
Mm.
CBSE board, so CBSE school. So then I asked him that, sir, I would like to know that it's an English class. I understand the other classes, the other teachers had challenges because they were also not that fluent, and even the students could understand better if they speak in Hindi. But what
Mm.
about you? You are supposed to be an English teacher. Why are you doing that? So he said,
Mhm.
ma'am, you have to know about the background of the children.
Mhm.
They are not from a background where English is in fact spoken in the houses. Many of their parents don't even know English, but I have to ensure that the board results are good, and then I can reach out to the children. If I keep speaking in English all throughout, it's not going to help. They will not
Mhm.
understand. And some students can, maybe 1 out of 100, but the rest of them, I have to help them sometimes writing on the board, because I have to get good results also. Because at the
Mhm.
end of the day, the board result, they are grade 12 students, the board results will also uh,
Better.
count. Many parents are not able to afford tuitions. They hardly can afford the school fees. So from where they're going to give tuitions? So I have to apply these methodologies to get good marks from my students and to help them
Mhm.
understand. So that's how I do it. And then that's when I realized that yes, while designing a curriculum, besides keeping in mind all those CBSE, NCERT, and ICSE, whatever syllabuses and frameworks, we have to keep in mind the ambience and the background of the students, that who are the target audience to which the books are going to be. I'm talking about the academic books. So then nowadays, besides everything, all this 21st century skills and 4Cs and all this, what I do is I try to bring in activities in the book which would help the students not only to do group learning or sometimes things which will help them in future. For example, I had designed a curriculum for a rural school for English for the middle school, I mean, say grade 7, grade 8 students. So what I did, I brought in activities where they had to maybe do a group activity on maybe, you know, designing, embroidering a pillowcase or something, or embroidery. So what, and then they have to write a caption as well about it, and a group will have to describe it, a group will have to do it. So what happened while doing it, the school of course had the home science room with, you know, the sewing machine and stuff. So it really helped them, what, you know, along with learning English, while, you know, their public speaking skills had developed because they presented what they had done. And then during the process, it was a cross curricular activity also, because the fine arts teacher, the work experience teacher, everybody had joined in. The English teacher was there, and the student in the process had learned embroidery, they had learned stitching, how to use the machine and so these kind of activities I tried wheresoever possible to collaborate. And then when we give the life skills in the books, I try to bring in situations where the child can be, you know, forced to think, can be forced, I would rather say, or is facilitated to think, is encouraged to think, is encouraged to take decisions in situations where he actually needs to take a decision. So that later on helps you to to take decisions in your future life. That decision making skill is developed. And then maybe, you know, skills like well, leadership is a quality that you need everywhere in life, especially when you move out from your school environment. So those kind of projects where they need to take group activities or maybe individual presentations, which helps a lot. So all those kind of activities I try to incorporate. And since you have asked about the vocabulary, I believe that, you know, whenever I write books, I don't use too many heavy words, because what happens, if of course I try to enhance the vocabulary, maybe use few words, and then at the end of the book you give meanings. But when you write a fiction or something for other publishers, which is in the market, so I've done a lot of ghost writing. So what happens is then for example, if today you read a novel, you would not be liking to go consult a dictionary at every line that you're reading, right? So what I believe is, you know, language in a book, the vocabulary should be such that it's understandable to the common man. I mean, he or she should know. If they know English, they should understand my book. There might be a few words here and there which might be heavy. They might need to consult the dictionary or Google it. But then I basically try to keep the language simple. And if it's a children book, I try to bring in a lot of onomatopoeia, which is sound words. In English, we call onomatopoeia. So, like, for example, suppose you're writing a story about, you know, you traveling in a jungle, for example, and then the tiger was growling. I would write, grrr, growls the tiger, and the rustling of the wind. So what happens, the child relates and they actually start imagining. It happens with elders also. So that breaks the monotony also of a plain text. So that's what I do.
Very nice.
So that's what I do.
Very nice.
Thank you. To a lot of foreign channels via Netflix and Prime Video, what has happened is the children have become multilingual. People have become multilingual. Like, in fact, the other day, I myself was watching a Korean movie with subtitles, which I would have never done. So maybe one or two words hit me, you know, oh, this is what that, because I was reading the subtitles and they were saying it. So like that, you have apps like Duolingo, where, you know, you can learn languages. You type a word and you give it a Spanish word of this. So like that's how I got to know, you know, hello, hola in Spanish. So I downloaded that for my daughter as well to learn French, because I can't help her with French. So she takes help of Duolingo. So that's nowadays with the exposure that we have via, thanks to the internet, uh, language has really evolved. And then of course I would say that, sometimes I, as an English teacher, it hurts me. Grammar has, been taken for granted. The way you used to be serious with grammar, nowadays I see that lacking. And the SMS language has actually, taken grammar for a toss, where you have all those short forms, and then you don't have grammar there. Articles are not needed. So if you read a teenager SMS, in most of them, I'm not saying all of them, but yeah, you must have seen, that, it's like the grammar is not there. You don't have to write the complete word. There are short forms. There are numericals and letters, alphabets used together to communicate, like BN4 is before. So yeah, in fact, I'm also learning the modern way of writing short form. So yeah, so with internet, languages, evolved positively also, and in a way it has its negative impacts also, as especially for the grammar part of languages. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
mean, people should be aware of it. I mean,
You have taught across all ages. So I want to ask, how do you adjust to each group? Because each group may have different demands and
yeah.
challenges.
So I have taught across grade. I've told you before that, I can relate to any group, age group. I
I
mean,
think, yeah.
I'm basically yeah, a people's person maybe. I have because if you make me sit down with a group of elderly people, I'll have things to discuss. If you make me sit down with people of my age, of course, it's a different level. It's all a different level of discussion and all. With youngsters, it's different, and even with toddlers, with baby language, this, that. So I can relate to them. And then when I was working with Salwan Public School as an English teacher, uh, there, my principal, Dr. Indu Khetarpal, she is my mentor. All thanks to her that she is the one who had encouraged me to take up writing, because she had given me responsibilities of the school magazine, then report writing for the school, then taking newspaper in education. I was the coordinator for that. So initially I was very reluctant and was like, oh, how much of work. But I think that paid off and gave me the confidence, and that I actually can be a good writer. So then she once told me, that you have been teaching middle school and high school. I think you should relate to juniors as well. And she gave me a grade 1. Believe me, first day I had to write just one period. I had to write it on the board. Like, I didn't know, like, for seniors, you draw write the timetable on the board, even if it's a middle school, or you dictate, it happens. There, everything I have to write down. And then when I checked through that almanac, I found that they've finished the entire grade writing just one subject, and I was like, gosh, how will I handle that? And that's how I learned to be patient, because I was very young then, in my early 20s, and not yet a mother. So slowly with them, initially it was a struggle, but later we bonded so well that, in fact, the students were in tears. I was in tears when I had to leave them at the end of the year. Post that, I think I've never been an English teacher of grade 1, though I used to take up private classes or go as a guest teacher. But I had been in the primary wing. My principal ensured that one primary class I always have. She said she was teaching me to be patient, and that really helped, to understand them. And maybe that's why I can relate to children. I told you, children writing is my forte. I got to understand how to write for them. How do they understand? And it really became easy for me to take the teacher training as well. I know how they understand, but what's the level at uh, how you need to reach out to them, how your text should be, and what activities will keep them engrossed. So that's how it really helped me a lot. And then the journey continued for almost 10, 11 years as a teacher, teaching
Wow,
different grades.
fantastic. You curate content. So can you tell us what it means?
Yeah, so it's basically, developing content,
Mhm.
editing is also a part of it,
Mhm.
proofreading is a part of it, rewriting
Okay.
somebody's work is a part of it. So
Okay.
that
That's it. Okay. Great. You are an academic consultant also.
what happens is, the school, when you go there, first the school gives you a background of what is going on in the school, what books they are
Mhm.
using, and what are the difficulties that teachers often tell about it. So then maybe somewhere you'll have to design the curriculum or redesign the curriculum, or somewhere you feel you'll have to train the teachers how to go about it. Somewhere you take up workshops even for the students, maybe in speaking or writing, or then, especially bringing in activities like interclass activities, debating,
Mhm.
uh, jam sessions, then uh, elocution, all those of speaking skills. So all those things, maybe sometimes you conduct a couple or so for each grade workshops, and
Mhm.
then you have the teachers, especially when it comes to English teachers. Because of my English background, I go into the nitty gritty of the subject, but for the
Okay.
rest, it's like
Mhm.
classroom management, how to make a classroom lively, how to make it interactive, how can you have a student centric classroom teaching. So those kind of things,
Mhm.
take it out. And then maybe for schools where the other subject teachers have difficulty in English, you'll have people asking you, okay, like I have been there, I have listened to news, I read the newspaper, but still I find it difficult. What do I do to improve? What is actually I should be doing to improve? So those kind of questions will come. So you
Mhm.
need to be prepared to handle all those situations. And that's how, and sometimes maybe you observe the teachers or do a mock session to let the teachers know that, this is how it should go,
Mhm.
something from the syllabus. So, and then I have also designed question papers for the new curriculum for the age group of 13 to 15 years and 15 to 18 years. So
Mhm.
for language learning ability. So
Mhm.
that also is, now the pattern, it's all MCQs now in language and literature. To have MCQs all the time is in fact a challenge, because
Mhm.
if you don't understand, if you don't know, if you tick it, it's you have it. If you don't tick it correct, you don't have it, because you don't have the liberty of giving a long answer where you can expect at least 2 marks out of 6 marks. So that also, and then the child's critical thinking has to be taken into consideration. Then the difficulty levels, then you have to keep in mind all the pedagogies.
Mhm.
So it Bloom's taxonomy has to be in your mind. So that has also helped me. I have developed 2 sets so far.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's in fact, and here I would like to share that, way back I had experience of doing alt text. Now alt text is braille. Like if you have to write braille
Mhm.
for somebody, how do you, for other students, you see this, you see that, you write. Now for uh, students who are visually challenged, which will be converted to braille, how will you do? Now if you have to write for a science experiment also, you'll have to
Mhm.
describe the things that you use in the experiment, then how you're going to go about it. Everything needs
Mhm.
to be explained word to word, and that itself was an experience for me. I have the chance to do it once, but yes, it's a lifetime of an experience. I mean, it's so very different from writing normal text. So
Wow,
all
this
the
is
text I'll say forever. It's been years now that I've done that, but yeah, it's an experience that I'd like to mention.
sure. Great. Now, do you think writing can be taught or is it inborn?
See, writers, I think, are born with the talent. Of
Mhm.
course, writing skill can be taught the way you teach your students, but
Mhm.
creativity and being a writer is something I feel is inborn. It has to be in you. Teachers can polish it, teachers can guide you how to write it and score marks, because you always have the writing scale, what you have to do, an introduction, body, visit this. But the flair for writing, if you want to be a writer, I'm talking about from that perspective, I think that's inborn. But yes, writing skills we always teach in schools: listening, speaking, reading, writing. So that can be taught. But a writer needs to be born.
Needs to be born. Okay. Have you faced a writer's block anytime in all these years while writing? No. Okay. Great. What changes would you like to see in this current scenario of languages?
As I said, language is evolving. So is the world. There are a lot of technologies used in every sphere. You have apps for everything today. Maybe you don't even, the way we used to slog for a thing, today you don't have to. Google is there ready for everything. But yes, I would request each and everyone that keep your originality and be thorough with the grammar part of the language that you are learning or teaching. That is very, very important. I feel grammar is the backbone of a language.
Yes, I forgot to ask you a question before. Anyone must read a lot in order to write a lot, or in order to develop the vocabulary.
Yeah, see, as I told you, not only reading, even watching a movie can, can enhance your vocabulary. Point is, how far interested, how far attentive, how focused are you when you are doing that particular task, whether you are watching a movie, whether you're reading a book. But yes, reading helps you. You know how different authors write. The flair is there. You know when to use which word. So the more you read, it of course helps you to enhance your vocabulary, to improve on your writing skills. That definitely helps. Yes, but yes, you need to have the gist and the right approach to it, and you need to be like a sponge. Whatever you read or see or hear, you need to be able to absorb and use it in the correct way.
Yes, indeed. Great. Wow, that was a lovely conversation, Mamoni.
Yeah, when I enjoyed, maybe I could go on and on, but yes, we have the time restrictions.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for giving me this opportunity.
Do you plan to learn any other languages, like Indian or international?
Yeah, I might go for French and Spanish. And I have a knack for learning languages. So maybe as and when time permits, I do keep learning Spanish a little bit from Duolingo. But yeah, maybe later on, with a little bit of time in hand, I would go ahead learning maybe French, German, and Spanish. These three languages are in mind. Let's see how it goes.
Wow. Okay. Great. Then all the best to you for that.
Thank you, Lalit. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.